Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meaningful Marketer podcast. I'm Mia, and this is Grace, and we have cozy marketing chats every week all about how we can make marketing more meaningful and bite sized, make it purposeful, and make it where we'll actually show up and do it because we
Right.
believe in impactful simplicity. We believe in real, genuine connection, and we believe that those are the things that make marketing great and what it should be all about. So, we're here to bring it all back to that and give you little bite-sized things that you can take each week and actually implement into your marketing,
Yes.
make a huge difference in your business and in how you connect with your community. So let's dive in. This week, we're actually going to be chatting all about bite-sized marketing and what exactly it is. What are the three things that you need to be making sure that you focus on? And then there's like little bitty check marks, little bitty checklists, within those three things. And we really believe, or we know we can't all do it all at once. We've tried to do it all.
We know that.
We've tried to keep up with all of the trends and the gurus and the algorithm updates. And, I'm not saying if you're someone who thrives on that, great. Keep on doing it. Don't listen to us. If you're like, that lights my fire, I thrive on that stuff,
Hey,
please, by all means, go and do it. But if you are like us and it just drains your creativity doing that, and you find that you struggle to consistently show up for your business on social media, you got into your business and you're so excited. You were like, yeah, I get to do what I love. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I hate everything about this because I have to now show up on social media or send an email or, whatever it is that you have to check off in addition to the magic that you do, then you're in the right place because we're talking about how we can cut through that and how we can make a big impact with little things and tuning out all the noise because it really does. For some of us, that just drains the creativity. And then as a result, what ends up happening is we just don't show up at all because you're so overwhelmed and bogged down.
we know better than anybody that you don't have more time in your week, right? You don't have more time to dedicate towards your marketing. Our mission here is not to add more things to your plate that you're not actually going to be able to implement on a weekly basis, but rather teach you how to restructure what you're already doing. And add in maybe a couple of little things, adjust your workflow to add in a couple of little things that are actually going to make a big difference, but it's not going to take up a bunch more of your time and energy. Because if you're beating your head against a wall right now, stressed out about marketing, the last thing we want to do is give you a long list of things to add to your plate.
Totally agree. Like Grace said, it's not about adding more, it's about refocusing on what really matters. So when you are spending time, you're spending time on what actually matters. And I think that's kind of the $1 million question everyone has about everything
Right.
they do, right? Like that's why we go and get courses. That's why we do all these things because we're like, I just want to cut through the BS and I just want to know what actually matters. Unfortunately, sometimes finding what actually matters for you personally can be a little more different. It can depend on people's goals and everything like that. So if you listen to what we have to say today and you feel like it resonates with you, then great. If you feel like there's something else, another method that you resonate with, do that. It is all about finding what works for you personally. And I think that's something that so many marketing and business and social media coaches are not really great about talking
Right.
about. My method may not work for you because it's all about your goals and your lifestyle. So, yeah, really think about that too as you're going through what we're talking about today. And as you go through other things, it's like you're not broken because a method didn't work for you. A method that somebody was, oh my gosh, this worked for all of my clients. This worked for
Great
all of my
point.
students. And then you try it and you're like, well, it didn't work for me. So maybe I'm not meant to be on social media. Maybe I'm not meant to have a business. Maybe it's me that's something's wrong with. And I just want to say, no, you have just as much of a right. You have just as much permission to show up. And actually, we want you to show up. We need you to show up. And we believe that the world needs what you have to offer. And so that's why we're here teaching what we teach, because we want to, the people who can resonate with how we do things, we want to be able to empower you. So that way we really believe that the world can be impacted by what you do.
Absolutely.
So don't give up. That's the biggest thing I think I can say is, as you go through what we're talking about today, as you go through other things, like don't give up. You are going to find what works for you. You're not broken. It's just about finding the bite-sized way for you. And so let's dive in. So the three bites that we find, I'm going to call them bites, that we find most important for us, for our clients that have worked really well for us personally is consistency, connection, and integrity. And now there's things that kind of fall into that. We said earlier, little like checklists, but those are the three big things. So if at any point you looking at trends, algorithm changes, listening to what some guru says, whatever, if it's us, if it's someone else, if at any point that stuff is coming before, if it is taking up more of your time than these three things, it's time for an evaluation, because consistency, connection, and integrity should be the top three things. And I promise there is a practical application to these things, because I know a lot of the time, like people may say something and you're like, well, that's great, but like, what does that actually mean in my day to day? So let's talk about what that actually means. So the first one with consistency, we've got three little points here to focus on. Showing up consistently, right? Everyone would like to do that, right? Repeating what works and creating sustainable goals. So these are going to kind of feed off of each other. So the first thing here is create sustainable goals for yourself. If you know that you are not going to be able to post 6 days a week, do not set a goal to post 6 days a week. We kind of have two goals where it's like, at least 3 days. In an ideal world, Monday through Friday, like our working days would be great days to post, but at least three. So 3 is our like top goal. If something happened at the end of the week and we got 3 posts up, we're not going to
We
stress
feel good about it. Right.
And so create that for you. If it's 1 post a week, whatever you can do consistently, that is going to give you a little baby step, a little bite closer to getting to that consistent spot and to posting more. Because I'm telling you from experience, it really is in the tiny things that you do, and allowing yourself, like humble yourself and just allow yourself to take those little tiny bites, because it really does. Once you build up confidence every time you knock one off. And then as you build up confidence and you build up knowledge and all these little things build up, you start to go, I could post 7 days a week now because I have the confidence to. I've learned a lot. This is more of a priority in my routine because I'm not stressing about it and using up all this creativity and brain space with like stress of, oh, I'm going to do this. There's a lot that goes into that. But first, it starts with creating a sustainable goal for yourself. That is
Yes.
going to give you the freedom and the grace to allow yourself to take a little bite each time out of this consistency.
Because it's not about the number. It's not about the number. It's about the consistent act of doing it. So don't feel bad if you're one of those people that's like, I can only commit to 1 post right now. Hey, that's still progress. If you can keep that up and add on that, like you're going to be in a great place.
Yes. And I would say if you can only commit to 1 post right now and you're pushing yourself to commit to more because it's like, oh, well, either 6 posts or it's not good enough, I would say look at it this way. It's either 1 post or no posts, because
Right.
what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up doing none because you're overwhelming yourself. So give yourself that grace, that freedom to just take a tiny little step there. The other part of this is repeating what works, because a lot of the time you can't stay consistent because you're trying to do new things all the time. Nobody does new things all the time who is being successful and all of that. Like if they are, they have a team or they have unlimited amount of hours in the day, or they are stressed to the max, like falling apart. I can promise you, because the people who are professionals in this industry, the businesses that are doing this the right way, they are repeating what works and they are sprinkling in trying new things. You do not need to try every new feature, every new trend. You do not need to have a really good post happen and then go, oh, now I've got to think of the next new idea to entertain people. No, do what works. Repeat it. You don't have to exactly repost it right away or at all if you don't want to, but lean into that. If there is a phrase, if there is a topic that your community is latched onto, say it again. Talk about it again, because we work with so many people that are afraid of that. They're like, well, I just talked about that topic the other day, so nobody's going to want to hear it again. Did they engage with it? If they did, and it was a positive engagement you got with that, they're telling you, we want more. We
Yeah.
want more.
Yeah.
And we end up ignoring people and being like, oh, okay, that went really great. Now I got to figure out how to entertain them. And we're just like bouncing around thing to thing. And that is just not needed. That actually will end up hurting you. And it's going to end up confusing your community. It's going to end up burning you out, and it's just not going to end up being the thing that can keep you consistent, which is so important. So if it's hurting your consistency, then we have to find a way to do that differently. So if you start doing these little things, that can help you show up more consistently. But I do want to say, and this is a big one, that Grace and I we work a lot with our clients on, and anybody who we coach, is you do have to show up. And when we say show up, that also means showing your face. And I'm not trying to throw any hate out if you're trying to do a faceless account. And I'm not even going to tell you that's impossible. Anything is possible that you put your mind to. You are a force and you can make it possible. However, the most success we have seen is just through that authentic connection of face to face, showing yourself. And that is, if you're wanting to create a business that feels like it has that meaning, a lot of the time having that personal connection through face to face is going to make it feel a lot more purposeful and meaningful to both you and your community.
Well, think about how you interact with accounts on social media. Like if you discover a new brand, odds are, if you're anything like me, you're going to that page to see if you can see the face behind the brand, right? You're trying to make that connection with somebody. You're trying to figure out if this business is legitimate. It's a big part of it. But you're also trying to connect deeper because, you know, in an industry, whatever your industry is, you're competing with other businesses, right? And so you do want to be set apart, and you and your face are the unique magic that's going to, allow you to kind of stand out from the crowd. So we are pretty bullish about this, and our clients don't always like that, but continue to see success when you show up with your face.
So that is consistency. Next is connection. And so first on connection is connecting with yourself. And that is something so important because we get so wrapped up in the strategy and the algorithm and all of these things, but we don't realize that a large part of the strategy is actually going to depend on whether we've connected with ourselves, how we are doing mentally. Mental health is so important to business. It's so important to your marketing because you are not going to show up if you dislike yourself.
True.
You are not going to show up if you are feeling just, barely can get out of bed. I know because I have been there and all of it. There's still bits that I'm dealing with that it's so much vulnerability. It's so much putting yourself out there. There's so much more of a personal development and emotional journey that goes into building a business and doing your marketing and showing up on social media than a lot of people give credit for. And so you can have all the hacks in the world. You can do all of that. But if you are not taking the time to connect with yourself and to nurture your mental health, and there's so many ways you can do that. We obviously have resources that we have and we're releasing where we're going to talk more about how you can do that and how you can use that as fuel for your social media. But it really is, it's so important, whatever that looks like for you, to prioritize that first and foremost, because that is really going to hinder you from sharing your unique magic. And it is going to get in the way of that consistency. Because
Yeah.
if you can't be consistent connecting with yourself and where you feel, at least okay about getting up and doing what you're doing, I'm not saying we have to feel on fire about it every single day because you're
Sure.
not going to, but you are going to find that it's really hard to stay consistent. And a lot of the time we've seen that when people are not showing up consistency, a lot of the time it has a lot more to do with this
Yeah.
than it does to do with it having a strategy.
It's a big part of it, and I feel like it's that analogy of putting your oxygen mask on before you can put it on the kids. Like, you
Mhm.
have to start with yourself, otherwise you're not going to feel like you can share and help other people. I feel like not a lot of people recognize that. Like you said, it's kind of I don't know, a secret issue people have, and we've helped so many clients get to the bottom of that and been like, "Oh, okay, so you just don't
Mhm.
actually wanna show your face because 'cause you've got, some insecurities and things." Well, let us talk you up because we so believe in you, and we so believe in, again, the power of connecting with your audience genuinely.
And in order to connect with other people, we got to
Yeah,
connect with us because that
yeah,
is the next thing on the list is connecting with your community, really focusing in on engaging, listening to them, market research, and market research, it sounds like this big scary thing. It's just listening to your people. I was doing market research when I very first started marketing and I didn't have a clue what it was. I just listened to people. I cared about them and I liked hearing how I could help them. And so I listened to them. And that's literally all it is. And so, yeah, but you are going to have a really hard time putting yourself out there and connecting with people and feeling like you're worthy to connect with people until you've connected with yourself and until you have your mental health in a good place. So, if you feel like you are having a lot of problems showing up consistently, if you are like, honestly, I just feel like there's a wall when it comes to connecting with other people, I would say your first bit of advice would be take a couple weeks, take a month, and really look at how you can get back to connecting with yourself first. And you're going to be surprised at how much easier it feels to start connecting with people and how much easier it feels to be consistent. And you just start to feel that like passion come back that maybe you had lost a little bit. especially if you're someone who's already been doing business a minute and you're burnt out, like give yourself a little time to heal. That is going, if this is something you really want to do and you're really passionate about, it will come back if you just give yourself time to heal. Because sometimes I feel like there's been parts of my life where I've been like, well, do I just not want to do this anymore? Do I not like this anymore? And it really had nothing to do with that. It just had to do with the fact that I was unhappy where my mental health was. I wasn't in a good place. And so as soon as I started nurturing that again, I find myself, oh, I have this idea. Oh, you know what? I'm excited about doing this today in my job, my business. And that really does make a huge difference. That passion will come back, but you have to nurture to get that to come back. And it's not by shoving yourself full of more of that thing. It's
No,
about focusing on you and things that light your fire that maybe don't even have anything to do with work for a
for
minute.
sure.
And so, like we said, then that can help you connect with your community, which is so important. Engaging, market research, honestly, really simple things that we overcomplicate. Listening to people, talking to people. Like, that's the big thing. And obviously, yes, you have to put yourself out there consistently to be able to connect with people, because people don't connect as easily if there's not that consistent stability. People connect a lot better when there's a stability. Like, think about having a friend. If you have a friend who never calls you back, are you going to feel very connected with them? No, you're not, because there's not that stability there. You're going to feel a lot more connection with the friend that you're talking to regularly, that you can have a conversation with and things like that. Like, you're just going to feel that. And so it's the same on social
Good
media.
point.
If you're the one who's not posting, you're the friend that's never calling back. And people are probably on the other end waiting, wanting to hear from you.
Yeah,
But because of your own insecurities, because a lot of the time when you look at relationships, that's why a friend doesn't call you back or doesn't show up. It's because they're dealing with their own stuff. And then there's that inconsistency there. And it really puts a barrier between being able to connect. The other thing is connecting with the world around you, which is important. Now, this is not something you need to be doing over the top, but find a good marketing newsletter. There's so many good ones that just update you on news. We don't do that. We don't focus on that. That's not our expertise or our niche of what we focus on helping people with. But there are so many people who literally just focus on keeping up with social media and marketing news, curating newsletters around that. There's a reason that the people who are doing that, that's what they do all the time
yeah,
because it is a full-time job. And so let those people do the work for you and find a one or two newsletters. They'll probably send you one once a day, a couple times a week, and use that. They might take 10 minutes to read. And then that is your effort you have to put in for the day. You're reading that. Or, it can also be some accounts you follow that okay, I'm going to read this account's post for the day. And that is my news for the day. Or, that is how I'm keeping up with the world today. But the other thing can just be scheduling yourself a limited amount of time each week to scroll, to get a feel for how social media is. But so often when we're having issues with our socials, this is the first thing we go to. And we end up spending hours. What did this person do that works? Oh, I'm saving this inspiration. Set a timer and only give yourself a limited amount of time, because you are going to consume way more than you create, and it's going to kill your creativity if you do that. So definitely important to keep connecting with the world around you and be aware with what's going on, but create yourself again that in little bitty bites that you can take each day or a couple times a week that aren't going to feel so overwhelming, because you don't need to keep up with every single thing. You don't need to keep up with every single trend. You don't need to, and you can't, and it's going to burn you out. So if you can just pick those two or three little ways throughout the week that you're going to maybe spend an hour tops between all of those things keeping up with the world, then that's plenty. You don't need to be in your phone 24/7. And the last thing is integrity, which is something that's so important to us because we have seen the ins and outs of businesses having integrity and also businesses really kind of losing that integrity. And so it is so important. And it's so much more. The first thing on the list here is people before profit, because that is a mantra that we have. People should always be first. And if you are chasing money or trends or social media success, and that is getting in the way of people first, there's a problem. One, you're not going to have a purposeful, meaningful business that you are wanting, or I'm assuming that you want if you're watching this. And two, it's just not right. Can we just say it's just not right? It's just not ethical. And so that is yeah, you need to make sure you have that. The next is inclusivity, creating a place that is for, anyone can come and feel welcome in. We're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but that doesn't mean we can't have room at the table for them. And that's something I thought about recently is like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but you can invite everyone to the table and then let them decide if they want to sit and have tea with you there or if they want to go somewhere else. And I think that's a really great way to look at it in being inclusive, but also protecting your peace and protecting your, you against people who maybe are really mean about your business and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like there's room for everyone. We do have, values here we uphold, and
I was gonna
hopefully
say,
kindness is one of those and everything. So there's room at the table for you, but you don't have to come and drink the tea here. If we're not your
just so
cup,
long
then
just so long as you're not sacrificing your values to appeal to certain people, I think you're right that, we're giving everybody the choice. I think where people go wrong in marketing a lot of the times is trying to force somebody into choosing you or your business or your community or whatever. And people like choices, right? So all you can really do is be like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I offer. You're welcome here. And, if people aren't down with that, they can go on down the road. And that's not a failure on your part because you're for who you're for and you're not for who you're not for ultimately. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in that either. But yeah,
yeah, it's just it is just saying everyone's welcome here. This isn't going to be for everyone though. Like not everyone's going to enjoy being here, and I'm okay with that, and I have peace with that. The next thing is your values. If you haven't established your values, establish four or five of them. It's just great because if you can lean in, and going on to the next thing on our list, the last thing is your magic point of view. If
yes,
you can lean into your values and your magic point of view, one, establish them, but then lean into them in your messaging, in your strategy, and all of that, that is going to help your stuff stand out. That is going to help you build really great hooks. That is
yes,
going to help you relate to people more. And you need to focus on those things more than you're focusing on trends and algorithm changes. What happens so often is the trends and the algorithm changes and the app changes and all of that end up distracting you from those two things. And so you get distracted from those. Those are what make you stand out. Those are what help you connect to people. And so what happens is your focus is all over here, and then you've completely forgotten about the two things that are actually going to connect with people and,
right.
really put you out there and make you stand out. And so
Well,
those things are huge.
it will help you attract your dream client to share your own unique magic and point of view, but you'll also have more fun creating your content and showing up online, which is such a big part of it. I feel like we don't think we're allowed to have fun. Like it has to feel like work and it has to be strategy and structure and analytics and all these like words that are confining. But really, get passionate about your business and like pick up your phone and talk about it. I did a reel about this the other day. If we can tell that you're passionate in a call with you, but I can't tell you're passionate by scrolling your feed, that's a disconnect, right? So show your unique point of view, show your nerdy side or whatever. We talk to people all the time who are like, yeah, but I don't think my community will resonate with this because like I'm a total nerd about X, Y, and Z component of my business. And it's like, but have you ever really given them a chance to, connect with you about that? Because you might be surprised how many people are like, oh my gosh, like I've never heard anyone talk about this. And I also am a nerd about this. Whatever the thing is, don't be afraid to show true, authentic, like creative spark and individuality.
I think like something, we've talked about this before with connecting with people, running your business is like you saying, when people say, well, no one's going to connect with me on this. If you believe that, you're going to be right every single time because you're
You
not
always say
going to
that.
put yourself out there and you're not going to give anyone the opportunity to connect with you over it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that is the first step. Just like if you don't think your social media is going to grow, you're going to be right every single time because that limiting belief is going to keep you in that
Hold
place
you
where your
down.
social media will not grow. And that's why you hear so many people talk about, I didn't know what I was doing when I grew my business, or I just fake it till I make it. It's because you really kind of do have to put yourself in those shoes of like, my social media is going to be successful. My business is going to be successful. I am going to put myself out here and connect with people over this. And that's the attitude you have to have. You can't have the attitude of, no one's going to connect with me over this. Social media is never going to grow. Like it's just not for me. That sounds really humble, but really it's just self deprecating. And it is just keeping you in a small box. And that's been a very, big thing for me to learn because I've just always been like, oh, well, I don't want to think too big for myself, or I don't want to. And really in the process now, I'm just learning it's not cute. It's not humble. It's just self deprecation. And you're just keeping yourself in a tiny box. And at the end of the day, nobody's giving you an award for being humble and saying all of these things that aren't going to happen for you, and they're not going to happen until you believe that they're going to happen, which goes back to the mental health portion of this. And you're not going to believe they're going to happen until you're connecting more with yourself again and you build that confidence up. And so the last thing to touch on real quick before we pop out of here is system. So when you have consistency, in the consistency part, I left this one little part out of the consistency part earlier because I wanted to end with it. A system. You do want a system. So once you have all of these other things going, you do want to create a system for yourself, whether that's a system you make for yourself, a system you adopt from somebody else. You want to have a system in place because that is going to take some of the decision fatigue out and put things on autopilot and then help with that consistency. So keep that in mind, that once you start getting these things down, to be as you're going, kind of putting a system together or sitting down and going, okay, how can I take these things that have worked for me so far that I've been working with, and how can I create a system out of those? Or now that I've got myself to a good spot mentally, how can I adopt the system that I really resonate with from this person online or whatever that I feel like it's going to work for me? So those are your 3 marketing bites. And then you have your little things under each one. And we're going to be talking more about those things. So today was more of like an overview to give you an overview of this bite size method idea. So that way you can start changing your mindset there and start doing a little bit of the work. But stay tuned because in future episodes, we're going to be going over these things in more depth, and not just for social media, but in all marketing ways and how we can implement these things. And you can just take like a little bitty bite out of your marketing to make a really big difference because you're doing it consistently and you're showing up. And stay tuned because we are taking all of this knowledge and so much more that we have and putting it into little bite-sized ways that you can implement this stuff into your everyday, into a system. And it's going to be called the Social Media Makeover Class. We're working on it now, and we'll be launching that within the next 5 to 6-ish months. And we're really excited to share it with y'all. So, if that's something, if you end up looking at what we have to offer in that and it feels like a system that resonates with you, if this is something that resonates with you, make sure to stay tuned for that. We have a wait list for it too in our bio on our Instagram and all of the places like that. But that's something that we're going to be doing. And when it drops, if you're on the wait list, you're going to get a discount, a limited edition discount
Love
for
to
that,
see
to
it.
say thank you for getting on the wait list. So we're excited to share that with you, and we're really happy to be able to just help people who are like us, other small business owners who are like us, small business owners who we're friends with and we've seen the struggle. We're really
Yeah.
excited to do more with that as we grow as a business. And stay tuned here because we release a new chat, a meaningful marketing chat every single Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll talk to you soon, and we're over here cheering you on.
Bye, y'all.